Shalom and good afternoon. Greetings from Jerusalem, Jane. I'm sitting here at my small dining table and I want to give an update about what happened within the last 24 hours here in Israel. I actually kind of hope that a lot of you are saying, oh, Jane, we already know. This is what we saw in mainstream media, because this is exactly what you should have been seeing in mainstream media. I know that so many of them are focusing on the hospitals in the Gaza Strip. Well, every day the Israeli military is showing proof, videos, photos, explanations of what they are finding in the Gaza Strip, especially around the hospital. Yesterday, the spokesperson for the Israeli military actually went into Gaza and they released a video of the finding under a children's hospital, Raciti. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but let me share with you what they found, some of the things they found in the basement of a children's hospital inside the Gaza Strip. They found many weapons, including explosive belts, grenades, weapons, and RPG missiles. There was also a motorcycle that had gunshot marks in that hospital. This was one of the motorcycles that Hamas terrorists used when they breached into Israel, and they actually brought back a hostage. In that video that I shared on all my social media, you can see how they took a room and they quickly put in some furniture. They installed a toilet and just put a little curtain in front of the toilet. There was a chair where you could see rope that someone had been sitting tied up. And then there were diapers and baby bottles, indicating that maybe some of the children that was kidnapped from Israel into the Gaza Strip would have been held hostage under a children's hospital inside the Gaza Strip. I truly hope that your mainstream media was reporting that yesterday. From that same hospital, the IDF uncovered an operational tunnel shaft. Where did that go? To one of the leaders of Hamas's naval commanders. Unbelievable. Right now you're hearing a lot about the Shifa hospital. That's also where Israel has proved that Hamas is having one of their major headquarters. Israel has told people in the Gaza Strip for 2 weeks, evacuate, evacuate. Listen, here's the deal. If Israel was just murdering innocent civilians inside the Gaza Strip, this war would have taken 24, 48 hours max, because Israel was just have flattened the whole Gaza Strip. No. Israel has been pinpointing Hamas targets and terror sites, terror infrastructure in the Gaza Strip. And that's what they are doing now when ground forces are coming in. They are taking out terror targets. And they have proven that beneath the Shifa hospital is where Hamas have a major operational center. So Israel has told them, evacuate, evacuate. Hamas has prevented them from evacuating. Israel has the whole eastern side of that hospital has been open, where Israel has said to the civilians, evacuate. So while Hamas is not interested in helping the civilians, they have been using and abusing them for years. What did Israel do? Well, let me tell you. Israel brought in incubators, baby food, and medical supplies. They were brought in with an Israeli tank, and Israeli soldiers left that at the entrance to the hospital, because Israel cares about the babies, the newborn that needs to be in incubators inside the hospital in Gaza, where Hamas could care less. I hope you heard that in mainstream media. Another hospital, it's called Al-Quds in the city of Gaza. What happened there? Terrorists came out and they had, let me find the word, I want to correct it. A terrorist squad came out with RPG launchers. started shooting at Israeli troops and they injured a tank. The Israeli soldiers fired back at these terrorists. They killed some of them, and some of them retreated into Al-Quds hospital. You have to understand this. They are changing hospitals, innocent hospitals, into terror hubs where they are hiding beneath, where they have taken hostages, where they are storing thousands and thousands of rockets, grenades, and the Israeli Defense Forces, they are proving it every single day. If you follow my social media, you will see I am sharing those photos, I am sharing those videos, so you can see what it is Israel have said the whole time. Hamas is using civilians as human shields because they don't care about them. They are using and abusing civilian structures, including hospitals, to carry out attacks. The IDF's Golani Brigade found equipment that was taken by Hamas from their soldiers, their comrades. The stolen equipment and other Hamas weaponry was found in the so-called government's house in Gaza, which houses Hamas officers for its military and police officers. In there, they found weapons that were stolen from soldiers who were murdered when Hamas brutally committed that massacre on October 7. The 13th Battalion, who took part in fighting on October 7, they lost 41 members who was brutally murdered by Hamas. Israel's defense minister Yoav Gallant says that Israel now controls northern Gaza and Gaza City. They found more than 500 tunnel shafts linked to schools, hospitals, mosques, army attacks, bunkers, and underground army depots. Did you hear me? 500 tunnels. They have more than 500 kilometers of tunnel network. Israel pulled out. They forcefully removed thousands of Israelis living inside the Gaza Strip. It was a beautiful, beautiful area right out to the coast. They could have made such a good life for them. They were screaming about independence. We want our Palestinian state. We want the Jews out. Well, the Jews was forced out, and they could have turned it into a beautiful place. Hamas took over, and they turned it into one of the biggest terrorist nests in the world. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of weapons, grenades, RPGs, explosion devices, explosion belts has been found inside the Gaza Strip, throughout the entire Gaza Strip. So when Israel's saying we don't attack civilians, no, they don't. They never did. They have told them again and again, evacuate, we are not coming for you. So this morning, during the night actually, the Israeli military went into Shifa hospital. They had told Hamas again and again, release civilians, let the civilians go and surrender. We are coming for the soldiers, IDF, we are coming for IDF, we are giving you time, surrender, surrender. They didn't. So Israeli military is doing a targeted, special little operation inside in that Shifa hospital, where they are going from room to room, finding, looking for terrorists and infrastructure. They know it's there. They are not targeting the civilians. What did they do? They brought incubators. They brought incubators. They brought medical supplies. They brought food after they had spoken to the leader of that hospital. So now they are in there. They are going and searching for terrorists. And as soon as they can see this is the civilians, they don't target them. They are after the terrorists. They have brought some equipment for facial recognitions so they can recognize these terrorists. Hamas knew they come. They were anticipating it. Do you think they are running around in their uniforms now? No, they are mingling amongst the civilians in civilians' clothes, and that's why this is such a dangerous operation for the Israeli soldiers going into that hospital. That's why they know, a lot of them, they know who they are. They know their names, they know their faces. So they are bringing facial recognition so they can find them when they are hiding amongst the civilians. So that is what the Israeli military is doing right now. And we haven't heard yet that they found any of the hostages, if they have been held captives beneath that hospital. You want to know something? The youngest was only 9 months old when he was kidnapped into the Gaza Strip, together with his brother, who was only 4 years old, and together with their mom. They have now been held for 5 weeks out of the sun, down in these tunnels by Hamas. A lady was 9 months pregnant when she was kidnapped into the Gaza Strip. And given the fact that she has been there for 5 weeks, the IDF predict that she has now given birth while held hostage inside the Gaza Strip. It is horrifying. Some of the hostages coming in were so injured and wounded that the military think they have been treated in the hospital, in Shifa hospital, and that's who they are looking for right now. Again, I hope you are hearing all of these things that I'm sharing. I hope you hear them and have heard them already in your mainstream media. Who's bringing food? Who's bringing supplies? Who's taking care of the babies? The Israeli military. I want to share a photo with you, and then this is the last thing of this video. Unfortunately, the Israeli military was out yesterday. Hamas shared one of their propaganda videos, and they announced, I want to show you, this beautiful young girl, 19-year-old, her name is Noa. She was kidnapped. She was one of the people being kidnapped into the Gaza Strip. Hamas released a video where you see her sitting talking inside the Gaza Strip, and then they cut over to her dead body, meaning Hamas kidnapped her and they brutally murdered her inside the Gaza Strip, held hostage. May her memory forever be a blessing. May God advance her soul and her blood, and may God comfort her family. I'm sending my deepest, deepest condolences. She was murdered in captivity inside the Gaza Strip. There are still people who is not accounted for. There are still people who is being told missing. And that's because they were burned to ashes. They can't find them. So people with metal detectors are actually searching the ground around where searching the ground around the Nova Festival, where thousands of people were celebrating and dancing and singing, and then they were surrounded by all of these terrorists, and 260 young people were brutally murdered. Young girls were raped. The testimonies coming out, you cannot imagine the horror. So people, volunteers and the police, they are out with metal detectors, and slowly, hour after hour after hour after hour, they are combing the area, and all of a sudden they find a ring. They find a bracelet down in the sand. They find belongings to people who were murdered, burned to ashes. And only because they find these valuable things, people are able to be identified. It is absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. There are bodies that will never be identified because they're too mutilated. The Israeli police are building cases now against these terrorists, who, by the way, are being held in a military facility. And around the clock, all the time, the Israeli anthem, Hatikva, is being played in loudspeakers for all of these evil Nazi Hamas terrorists to listen to. But the police are building rape cases against these terrorists out of the video footage from their body cams, out of testimonies from survivors, women being found with their legs open and no panties. Some of these women was raped so violently that their pelvis was broken. Some of the women was being so mutilated during these rapes that when they were being brought in for burial, they couldn't even straighten out their legs. You can't imagine what they did. One lady said, I saw they gang raped, mass raped this young girl. One after another took turn on her. And then one terrorist cut off her breast and threw it out, and the rest of the terrorists was playing with her breasts. And while he's literally raping her, he shot her in the head. Another terrorist was walking around with the dead body, naked dead body of a young girl around her shoulder like a trophy. They cut the head of people and they were walking around with people's head as trophies, doing unimaginable things to them. All of these testimonies are coming out when they are going to start doing court cases against all of these terrorists. You cannot imagine the horror. Many of the young people from the Noa Festival who survived, who were sitting in bomb shelters when hand grenades was being thrown in and many of their friends next to them was being blown to pieces, or watching that their friend was being raped next to them and they managed to escape. Many of these young people are now hospitalized in psychiatric wards because they are so traumatized they can't even... There is not one family here in Israel that's not affected. There's not one family that's not affected. There's not one family sitting at a Shabbat dinner not either missing a loved one or know someone who is missing a loved one. So again, I want to share this. Please share out this video where I'm telling you about what's going on in the hospitals. And again, I am so extremely limited on Facebook. If you only follow my private Facebook, Jen Keel, you are completely missing out. On Facebook, I have a page called Israel One Nation with more than 210,000 followers. I share a lot there. Go find that page. And please, again, don't download the app Telegram. I am sharing all the time. I think the people on Telegram, sometimes they are putting the mute button on because I'm sharing so much. And that is absolutely fine. But for those of you who want real-time notification of all the things happening, it is only on my Telegram channel. Download it because there's also no censorship. I can share videos on Telegram that I cannot share out on other social media because then I will literally be blacklisted. So again, the IDF is doing a limited operation inside the Shifa hospital to go from room to room to find all of these despicable terrorists, and also if there are hostages, try to free all of these hostages who has now been held captive for more than 5 weeks. Thank you for watching this video, and also thank you for praying for me. Bye.